A constellation of dreams was shown on the stage of American Idol 2025, with each candidate representing a star that was ablaze with aspiration. Gabby Samone, a singer from Atlanta who was 24 years old and whose voice had already caused a stir in the audition rounds, was one of the individuals who entered the competition. She was scheduled to play "I Am Changing" from Dreamgirls tonight, a song that required not only vocal prowess, but also unfiltered, transformational emotion from her. When the lights were turned down and Gabby took the stage, the audience, which consisted of a sea of faces that were waiting for something, fell silent. From the beginning to the present, Gabby's journey was anything from linear. Her voice was a light of hope in a neighborhood where possibilities were limited. She was raised in a community that was very close-knit, and she sang in the choir of her church throughout her childhood. When Gabby was a youngster, her mother, who was a single mom and worked 2 jobs, would often recall how her daughter's singing had the ability to silence a whole room. During an interview that took place before the performance, her mother noted she sang before she spoke, with her eyes shining. Life, however, was not kind. Gabby's determination had been put to the test by a number of challenges, including financial difficulties, self-doubt, and a music industry that frequently ignored voices like hers. American Idol was her opportunity to not only win, but also to demonstrate that she had the ability to alter her stars. The selection of the song was not made up. After experiencing betrayal and heartache, Effie White's song, "I Am Changing," serves as her anthem of redemption and an assertion of her own self-worth. It was a matter of personal significance for Gabby. Although she was speaking to the cameras backstage, she maintained a firm voice although her hands fidgeted. "This song is me," she said. "I have been underrated and disregarded as a deadbeat. However, I am here, and I am getting better." She adjusted her earpiece as she altered the weight of her words, and her sequined gown caught the stage lights like a prism. Her words hung in the air like a weight. In an effort to regain her equilibrium, Gabby closed her eyes as the music grew louder. Her own sensitivity was reflected in the faint, almost timid notes that were played on the piano for the first time. Later on, she began singing, "Look at me, look at me." A warm, golden light emanated from her voice, which was replete with texture and anguish. Because of the gravity of her speech, the audience made a conscious effort to lean forward. Each individual phrase served as a stroke of the brush, creating a picture of tenacity. Her voice trembled just enough to betray the raw edge of her truth as she reached the line, "I'm changing, trying every way I can," and a ripple of gasps spread over the room as a result. With rapt attention, the judges, which included Katy Perry, Luke Bryan, and Lionel Richie, observed the performance. Katy, who is notorious for her dramatic outbursts, was holding a tissue tightly while her gaze was fixed on Gabby. While Luke's foot tapped involuntarily to the rhythm, Lionel, ever the wise one, nodded as if recognizing a kindred spirit. Luke's foot tapped along with the rhythm. The performance that Gabby gave was more than just a showcase for her vocal abilities, it was a story. Rather than being rehearsed, her hands moved in a way that was expressive and instinctual, as if she were molding the air to match her feelings. The lighting on stage changed from cool blues to warm golds, which increased the intensity of the song's progression from hopelessness to triumph. At the bridge, I said, "I'm going to begin today." At that moment, Gabby's voice reached new heights, imbuing the theater with a force that was nearly palpable. Every note she played was a conscious choice rather than a flourish for show, and her runs were exact while still appearing effortless. All of the people in the audience were standing up, and their applause was like a tsunami that was about to drown out the music. Gabby, on the other hand, remained unmoved, like a laser beam. Not only was she singing, but she was also providing testimony. "I am changing" was the concluding phrase, and it was a crescendo of defiance and optimism. Her voice reached a stratospheric high note that lingered like the tail of a comet. Lionel was the first to stand, and his voice was filled with emotion. "It's not just that you sang the song, Gabby, you actually lived it. This is a moment that will be remembered by all of us." Then, as Katy wiped away her tears, she continued, "You made me feel every word. Not only are you a singer, but you are also a wonderful storyteller." Luke, ever the pragmatic, smiled at the situation. "This evening, the people of the United States of America are going to vote for you." The audience screamed in accord, and Gabby, after collecting her breath, managed to grin shyly, her eyes gleaming with tears that she had not had the courage to cry. The atmosphere behind the scenes was tremendous. The contestants embraced Gabby, their sense of camaraderie serving as a reminder of the common goal that brought them together. In response to her performance, followers on X declared her the one to beat, and social media was flooded with clips of her performance. There was a surge in the use of hashtags, such as hashtag Gabby Samone and hashtag #IamChanging, with users tweeting things like, "She's giving Jennifer Hudson a run for her money," and "That was a star being born." Even those who had previously disregarded American Idol as a relic acknowledged that Gabby's performance was a complete game-changer. On the other hand, Gabby was not concerned about trends or votes last night. All she wanted to do was demonstrate something to herself. She was sitting in her dressing room, away from the cameras, and staring at a photograph of her younger self. She was a girl with big goals and a louder voice, and she was singing in the basement of a church. She hushed, "I did it for her," as she delicately touched the photograph. When she was having a hard time believing in herself, her mother, her choir director, and her best friend were all sending her messages on her phone. Her phone was buzzing with messages from all of these people. The influence of the performance is felt beyond the confines of the stage. In Atlanta, members of her community gathered in living rooms and church halls to watch replays and shout as if she had already won the game. There were reports in the local news about Atlanta's rising star, and her former high school announced that they would be hosting a watch party for the upcoming show. For young women who resembled Gabby, her performance served as a mirror, reflecting possibilities that they had not even dared to conceive of. The song "I Am Changing" by Gabby continued to serve as a standard during the course of the season. The other contestants offered vocal fireworks, but very few were able to connect with the audience as much as she did. As a result of her genuineness and her refusal to conceal her scars, she stood out. Even while it was unsure if she would win American Idol, she had already won something more significant, a voice that could not be ignored any longer. Within the larger framework of American Idol 2025, Gabby's performance served as a reminder of the show's ability to continue to be influential. In an era of streaming and viral fame, its validity had been called into question for a considerable amount of time, yet events such as this demonstrated its enchantment. Idol was not only about finding new talent, it was also about bringing their tales to the forefront. The personification of that purpose was Gabby Samone, who not only wore her heart on her sleeve, but also had a voice that reached the stratosphere. As the lights on the show began to dim, the screen gradually turned dark and displayed a straightforward message that read, "Vote for Gabby Samone." It was not necessary for those who had seen her perform to cast a vote, because they were aware that she had already altered the course of the game. They were the beating heart of a dream that refused to die out. Her voice, her tale, and her transformation were all vital components.